Hansen.
You have to pan around here. Have you ever wondered if there's any major political parties outside of America? Have you also ever wondered any political parties that have had a major impact on China in the past 100 years? Well, I am giving a speech today about the Communist Party of China, and I have been studying it for the past couple of weeks in preparation for this speech. And I'm going to talk about the history of the Communist Party of China, or the CPC, and I'm going to talk about the impact that they've had on the history of China and the presence that they hold today. So, starting with the history, they were founded in 1921 by revolutionaries with the ideas of Marxism and Leninism after the Russian Revolution. They joined the nationalists of China in 1924, but that eventually ended in 1926. And in 1927, the nationalists actually pushed the Communist Party of China out of Shanghai, and they had to live on countrysides for a while. And they built a working class army of 10 million people in 1931, and they eventually got destroyed by the Chinese army, which led to the Long March in 1934 and 1935, where Mao Zedong was actually elected the leader of the Communist Party of China, and he would be elected leader until 1976, which was his death. The Chinese Civil War then started between the nationalists and the CPC, and it lasted until 1945 and then recommenced in 1946. Then the Communist Party of China then left the Soviet Union. Basically, they stopped believing in their ideals and went to their own ideals. They started harsh campaigns that would seriously affect China and a lot of the people that worked there. One of these campaigns was the Great Leap Forward. It lasted from 1958 to 1960, and the Communist Party basically decided that the people of China would need to stop farming for themselves and farm for everybody. In 1966, Mao Zedong, who was still the leader at that time, began the Cultural Revolution, which, again, it would change China forever. And a lot of Chinese leaders fell, and then in 1976, Mao Zedong and other leaders were killed, which ended his reign. And the Gang of Four, which was Mao Zedong's, it was his wife, who was a widow after he died, and some of his friends, I guess, they were arrested. And then the Cultural Revolution then ended after he died, and there were a lot of new leaders over the years, but in 2012, their newest leader, who is still active today, Xi Jinping, was elected. But from the history, a lot of Chinese history was actually changed with the CPC. China suffered through the Civil War, like I said, and a lot of people died, which of course isn't very good. And during the Great Leap Forward, an estimated between 40 and 60 million deaths occurred in China. And the Cultural Revolution, after it was done, it left a large generation gap, which wasn't very good for their economy, and there was a lot of corruption, both in the CPC and in the Chinese government. But now focusing on the current presence that they have, there's nearly 90 million members, and a lot of their members have to be approved before they're actually selected to be in the CPC. So a lot of their members are very talented at what they do. They're one of the largest political parties in the world, so they, of course, have a giant presence on a lot of the world's politics, and especially Chinese politics. Their current leader, like I said, Xi Jinping, he has been discussed a lot in media and throughout China, of course, and he's been said that he's the most influential leader that they've ever had in China, other than Mao Zedong, of course, and he might surpass Mao Zedong in his power of influence. The sources I used were online. I used Britannica.com for the history mostly, and I used two websites, CFR.org and ChinaToday.com, to discuss the current presence that they have and a lot of the statistics about deaths and whatnot. And Chinese Party of the Communist Party of China. Sorry about that. They were, of course, very bad, but today they're doing a lot better, and they're extremely powerful. So I hope all of you have learned about the history, the impact on China that they've had, and the overall presence that they have on government in China and throughout the world. And that's all I have for you guys, so thank you for coming.